Good evening. Welcome to News Night here on Metro Television. My name is Bridget Otu. Thank you so much for joining us. The headlines tonight. Majority Chief Whip asks Speaker of Parliament to name and shame ministers who failed to appear before the House to answer questions as another minister, the Transport Minister, fails to show up. More trouble for the National Cathedral project as some artists who performed at a fundraising concert deny receiving $30,000 as fee. Meanwhile, a Ashaiman MP intends to drag government to court over sole sourcing of contract to designer of the cathedral. Also in the headlines tonight, and one person confirmed with monkeypox and isolated while contact tracing begins as the disease hits Techiman municipality in the Bono East region. OSP, we understand the special prosecutor finally gets its new board. President Akufo-Addo says Russian-Ukraine war continues to impoverish African economies. We have details of these stories and more in the next 60 minutes. Do join us. Hello again, and remember we're streaming on Facebook is at Metro TV Ghana and also at Newsnight. If you're on Twitter, you're not left out, is at Metro TV GH. And our very first story tonight, and one person has been confirmed positive for monkeypox in the Techiman municipality of the Bono East region. The suspected case was confirmed on June 20.
Techiman, the Bono East regional capital, has recorded the first case of the monkeypox virus. The Municipal Disease Control Officer, Abraham Nun, indicated the case was first suspected on June 17, 2022, and samples were taken. It emerged on June 20, 2022, that the person was positive. The victim has been placed on home isolation and treatment. Contact tracing is currently ongoing to help contain the virus from spreading. The Municipal Health Directorate is therefore appealing to the general public to be conscious in their daily activities to prevent the spread of the virus. He added that since the disease is zoonotic, people should be circumspect in wild animal meat consumption. He added again that monkeys are the reservoir of the virus and the consumption of its meat can be dangerous to humans.
We all know that monkeys are the carriers of this disease. They transmit this disease. Monkeys, squirrel, and rats. And so first of all, we should limit ourselves in contact with these animals. We shouldn't get into contact with these animals. Even if we want to eat these animals, we should make sure that we boil them or cook them very well before we take in.
Right, and let's go to Parliament. As Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, talks tough as he issues a stern warning to ministers who fail to appear before the House to respond to questions. Now, the failure of the Transport Minister to appear before the House on Tuesday to answer some 9 questions prompted the Speaker to warn that any such action in the future will lead to the referral of that particular minister to the Privileges Committee.
Sometimes we name and shame. So it shouldn't box all the ministers together. We have ministers who have been doing their work diligently, and they take this as serious. I don't want to mention any names. Anytime a number of them are unable to attend upon the House, they've given notice ahead of time. And for me, that is the trust of your worry. The notice should come ahead of time. We understand that their man is a human institution, their money.
The minister should take notice that is the last time that this House will grant him such an opportunity. The next absence of the minister for unavoidable reasons will refer to the Committee on Privileges as a conduct tantamount to a breach of the privilege of this House. And the committee will summon him to answer why he should not be mulch for breach of privileges of this House. I direct accordingly.
Right, so let's talk about an issue that also dominated the news headlines some months ago. It has to do with the former PPA boss and the former Chief Executive Officer of the Public Procurement Authority, Ejenim Boateng Ejei, has said he got a court order to defreeze his bank accounts before he withdrew the money in them. He was said to have successfully cleared all funds in his various bank accounts, which were declared frozen by the special prosecutor in 2019. But a statement issued by his lawyers, as in the lawyers of the former PPA, stated otherwise. And let's get to our video wall so we can give you more details on that statement. And they say that we wish to inform the general public that our client was granted access to his bank account pursuant to an order to defreeze accounts dated August 19, 2021 by the Accra High Court. In his suit numbered MSFT, so you see it there, and it's titled "The Special Prosecutor versus Ejenim Boateng Ejei and not in covenants with bank officials as published." We're reliably informed all his accounts are still very active. We are further informed that the publication sought to create an erroneous impression that our client had millions of cedis in his personal accounts, when the fact clearly shows that the figures being circulated around is only a total turnover of inflows with corresponding outflows. For instance, an initial 100,000 CD deposit can be turned over into millions over a period of time by just withdrawals and redepositing of same. The said publication, which sought to suggest that our client had millions of CDs sitting in his account and had gone on to withdraw same dubiously, is palpably false and tantamount to making our client vulnerable to attacks that could risk his life. Our client has always conducted his affairs within the ambit of the laws of Ghana and has consistently been guided by the statutes and principles in the discharge of his duties during his tenure in office. And we're going to go on the phone and speak to Mary Ada. She's Senior Programs and Research Officer at Ghana Integrity Initiative. A very good evening, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening to you and good evening to your viewers, Bridget. I am the Programs Manager in the Ghana Integrity Initiative.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for that. So I'm reading the contents of the letter, carefully worded letter by the lawyers. Are you surprised by the tone of that? Because they seem to be painting a whole different picture. What does it say about Shraj finding him guilty and saying that you cannot hold public office for 10 years, the next 10 years?
Yes, it's interesting. Perhaps they want to correct an impression, but from what you have read, the relevant issues are still outstanding. The issue number one that is under contention is the fact that Shraj in its report identified that there were certain accounts that showed that there was significant sums of money which had gone in there. So the resource flows into those accounts was what is under contention. And so if accounts were frozen, most definitely the Fourth Estate, let's assume, was speaking from the fact that Shraj had done in the two reports. You know, Shraj did two reports, one for the Office of the President and one on what the Ghana Integrity Initiative requested for the board and also any other funds that may have been acquired through corrupt means. And Shraj was very, very clear on that, on a certain account which had certain resources flowing in. Again, Shraj mentions that some of those resources that came into the account, the said gentleman, the client of these lawyers who have put out this statement, could not explain the source of these funds thereof. And so for the Fourth Estate to speak to these issues is based on what the evidence that Shraj came out with. And Shraj is a competent authority that was able to pick this information from the legal sources. And this is what we are talking about. We are not talking about funds staying in accounts and making some gains. It's definitely that, but we are speaking to different issues.
Right.
Perhaps maybe they are speaking to the heading or the how do you call it, being maybe too conspicuous or misleading, but that is not the case. The substantive issues remain relevant.
Right, and even when you read the Fourth Estate report, I mean, they even said that Shraj had understated the amount in the account. And with what the lawyers are presenting, they're making a case that, oh, it could be $100,000 that was taking out and redeposited, not necessarily additional money. So how should we treat this very statement coming out? Is it with a pinch of salt? And then what becomes of those who allowed him to get the money out of the account?
I think that this statement, ordinarily, you should expect from anybody who is under investigation and also now under prosecution. The investigations are over. There is a case he is answering.
Right.
So the lawyers responding shouldn't be too difficult for us to comprehend. It's definitely one of the strategies they would employ. Yes, most definitely. But then on the issue of the amounts being cleared from the account or whether they are deposited and redeposited. That's one of the gaps we identified as a country, that when the special prosecutor froze these accounts, the law clearly spells out the regime for unfreezing. Unfortunately, our competent authority or the state agencies in charge of this slept on the job, excuse me to say, for a better, for want of a better word. They slept on the job and the timing elapsed. And so they went to court and quickly got the accounts unfrozen. So legally, he went to court, he got the frozen accounts unfrozen, and he was able to work within that same period. And mind you, it was within that period the new special prosecutor, because of the issues of transition, took over.
Office, yes.
But I know that this is not spilled milk. Most definitely, the special prosecutor who is taking on this issue can still also go back to that and see how he can recover. Mind you, he would also be benefiting as an office if he is able to substantiate this case and get it done with in his favor. And in the favor of the people of Ghana.
Madam Ariada, thank you very much for talking to us, Senior Programs Manager at Ghana Integrity Initiative, saying that the special prosecutor can still retrieve the monies, even though some had slipped on the job. All right, so we continue with some more stories. And a member of parliament for Ashaiman, Ernest Nogbe, says he intends dragging government to court over its decision to engage David Ajayi as a sole consultant for the construction of the National Cathedral. The Ashaiman MP alleges that the sole sourcing of the project is a violation of Public Procurement Act.
From all the documents that I've read so far, the public procurement has awarded a single source contract to David Ajayi on the cathedral issue, and which is against the rules of law, especially against the Public Procurement Act. The office of the president, which is the entity in this matter, asked for single source procurement under 72(5)(a), which is to say that David Ajayi is the sole consultant in the whole world. For that matter, the contract must be awarded to him. And the Public Procurement Authority have now gone beyond 72(5)(a) to award the contract rather under 72(5)(b), which means that it is under emergency. And so you see the lacuna there. And so I'm heading to court for the court to set aside this single source, procurement under consultancy, and also David Ajayi, whichever money that was paid to him, he has to refund that money back because it is not within the laws of Ghana.
The Attorney General and Minister of Justice says government funding is inadequate and has therefore made a special appeal to the Court of Ghana to allocate 30% of monies earned to office. Speaking at the swearing in of 9 board members in Accra, Godfred Dame Yeboah said this will cushion the OSP to discharge duties efficiently.
And that I will uphold, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution.
This is the second board to be sworn into office. Their mandate is to assist the special prosecutor in the discharge of their duties. At the inauguration ceremony, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice Godfred Yeboah Dame expressed high hope for the new board, admonishing them to work on the mandate entrusted.
You all bring onto this board rich and valuable experience garnered over long periods of service in your respective fields of service to the nation. I am in no doubt that you will deploy this to the attainment of the objects of the office and ultimately justify the trust of the nation conveyed by your appointment by the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
On funding, he re-upped his call to have the Court of Ghana support the office.
I take note that the court is mandated to pay 30% of the amount realized from confiscation of property to your office. This undoubtedly can boost the revenue generation capacity of the office.
The special prosecutor, on behalf of the 9-member board, reiterated his commitment to make corruption and its related offences expensive.
I've relied on him heavily in terms of how to push these things, and based on his advice, we have come to today. It has delayed, but as long as that's now been inaugurated, we can work assiduously and in a harmonious fashion realize the objects of the office.
A member of the board, Linda Ofori-Kwafo, spoke on the need to support the office of the special prosecutor, calling on Ghanaians to play their part.
All he needs is the resources, financial and human. And if he's committed to it, he has a 7-year term to lead this office to accomplish to a very large extent the objects of the office.
The 9-member board is made up of Lawrence Ndago Ayagiba, DCOP, Winfred Boahin Frimpong, Abba Jacqueline Opoku, Kofi Boadi A. Boache, Stephen Azantilo, COP George Tufor Retard, and Linda Ofori-Kwafo. The special prosecutor Kisie Jabin and his deputy Cynthia Jane N. Lamte.
An anti-graft campaigner, Vitus Azim, says the payment of double salaries to some members of parliament can't be attributed to an ineffective payroll system. 4 members of parliament were said to be overpaid while serving in different capacities under President Akufo-Addo's first term. Now, some MPs, including MP for Peru West, Stephen Jalula, said they have since refunded those monies.
Issues of payment of double salaries to MPs resurfaced in 2018 after some NDC MPs allegedly benefited from it while serving as both members of parliament and ministers or deputy ministers. 25 of the MPs were initially asked to report to the police, but 18 of them were later asked to disregard the invitation. On December 13, 2021, a letter was issued from the Controller and Accountant General to some New Patriotic Party members of Parliament demanding a refund of double salaries paid into their account. The MPs in question are Sylvester Tete of Botiano English Yamanfrom, MP for Peru West, Stephen Jalula, MP for Salaga North, Alhassan Idi, and MP for Kintampo South, Alexander Jan. The MPs were said to have allegedly pocketed 131,000 Ghana cedis, 119,000 Ghana cedis, 42,000 Ghana cedis, 119 Ghana cedis respectively. They were accused to have earned salaries as former CEOs and DCEs respectively, in addition to their current salaries as MP. So far, Stephen Jalula, Alhassan Idi, and Alexander Jan have refunded the money, while Sylvester Tete denied the allegation of receiving double salary. The MP for Peru West, Stephen Jalula, speaking in an earlier interview on Newsbeat, says they returned the monies after seeing them in their bank accounts.
I would just want the Ghanaian people to know that this is unlike maybe the previous one where somebody saw payments into their accounts and they kept quiet. we saw payments into our accounts, and we took initiatives to return the monies to wherever they came from. And that is what I want the Ghanaian people to know. And we did this well over 2 months before the Accountant General even noticed that they were doing something wrong.
Meanwhile, Vitus Azim said the double salary payment was as a result of faulty payroll.
The payroll system, the fault with the payroll system is that some of the people that we take to work on the computers and all that are probably not really qualified people that should handle these things, or that our systems are not the best.
The conversation on whether a church edifice should.
The Affirmative Action Bill Coalition has called for the replacement of Adwoa Safo as the gender minister. Now, according to the group, her absence as substantive gender minister is one of the reasons for delay in the passage of the bill. The group spoke at a press conference in the capital, Accra.
It's been over a decade trying to get the Affirmative Action Bill passed. However, there has been no headway on efforts. The Affirmative Action Bill, when passed, among other things, will increase the participation of women in key discussion-making processes. Affirmative action, in accordance to Clause 4 of Article 17 of the Constitution, is a set of measures adopted by government, public and private institutions to address a history of systematic discrimination and exclusion of women. Speaking at a roundtable discussion, the convener of the coalition said the delay in getting the bill passed hinders the possibility of achieving the sustainable development goal.
Ghana also has obligations under various international human rights instruments to ensure that there's gender balance. I'll just mention 3 of them. We have CEDAW, Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women of 1979. It calls for equality. Then the key recent one, which is the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, particularly Goal 5, says that all member states should achieve what we call gender parity by the year 2030. How many years is left? It says 2030, we should have achieved gender parity. We have only 14.5 women. If we use Parliament as the yardstick to measure how far we are, do you think that we'll be there by 2030?
A member of the coalition says a replacement of the gender minister will hasten passage of the bill.
We have a caretaker minister, but our concern is that the delay is also largely because the substantive minister is absent from the jurisdiction, and the caretaker minister has her own duties, that she has to prioritize in cabinet. And we also do know that without prioritization, without the minister pushing, your own policies and proposed legislation, cabinet may not really consider it. So we are asking the president to ensure that priority comes back to the Affirmative Action Bill.
The theme of the roundtable discussion was averting the excess delay in passing the Affirmative Action Bill, the role of stakeholders.
You're live on Newsnight, streaming on Facebook at Metro TV Ghana, at Newsnight, on Twitter at Metro TVG. After the break, we'll look at some musicians who are denying receiving $30,000 for their performance in response to the National Cathedral. We'll be right back with more. Stay with us. Welcome back to Newsnight. Let's continue with one of our headline stories. And gospel musician Sonny Badu, in a tweet, has sharply denied getting paid $50,000 for his 5-minute performance at a concert in aid of Ghana's National Cathedral in the United States. Now, meanwhile, member of the National Democratic Congress and member of Parliament for the Ningo Pram constituency, Sam Jatta George, has called out other musicians who performed at the launch to speak up.
The conversation on whether a church edifice should be built by President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to honor God or not has taken a different turn. Let's take it back to 2018 when government, led by the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, launched a global fundraising campaign to raise funds from the diaspora to construct a 5,000-seater national cathedral. The first part of the global fundraising campaign was done in Ghana on the 28th of December 2018. The second part of it was done in the United States of America in February 2019.
I believe that the eminent clergy will appreciate Christ's own statement that you have to give to Caesar's what is Caesar's and to God what is God's.
In a later development, a gentleman cited on Twitter by Metro TV with the handle name Cecil_Kwame has sparked conversation after he tagged gospel musician Sonny Badu in a comment asking him to respond to allegations of him getting paid $50,000 for his 5 minutes performance. Sonny Badu, upon seeing the tweet, also responded with this. Member of the National Democratic Congress and member of Ghana's Parliament for the Ningo Pram constituency Samuel Nate George has also reacted, calling out other gospel musicians who performed at the launch with claims that they were paid $30,000 to clear their names. A number of Ghanaians have questioned the handlers of the fund to tell the public the state of the fundraising. In addition, answer questions why the construction has stalled.
And we'll stay on this as questions on the cathedral continues. I mean, David Ajayi is under fire. Bright Simmons is asking you, putting a lot of information out on how much the country is paying him for various projects in excess of some $300 million. So stay with us on Metro Television. We'll be bringing you all the details that concerns the National Cathedral. And also, when artists speak, we'll bring it to you. Let's move away from this. And the Nkranza Traditional Council has appealed to the Ghana Police Service to return to their post. According to the traditional leaders, the absence of police officers in the community poses serious security threats.
The Nkranza Township made headlines when one Albert Donko died in the grips of police. This sparked outrage among residents. The youth of the area went on rampage and vandalized the police station. The standoff compelled the police officers to withdraw from the area. The Traditional Council has indicated that residents of Nkranza now have to go to Wenchi to report cases of absence of officers in their municipality is seriously affecting them. They made the appeal when the Bono East Regional Minister paid a courtesy call on them at the Nkranza Traditional Council.
We are appealing to the minister. Please let the government know, President, that we are to be protected. So we don't see the reason why the police have withdrawn their people from our areas. The government is supposed to protect us. So we are appealing to the minister to let the government know that.
The regional minister, on the other hand, indicated the appeal of the traditional leaders will be considered and soon the police officers will return.
We are not happy about the scar which the death of Abedonko left in the Nkranza municipality. But I'm assuring you that the withdrawal of the police and all the security implications are being seriously considered, and that within the shortest possible time, normalcy will return to Nkranza, and we will enjoy the freedom.
Meanwhile, 4 people will appear before the Techiman court on June 29, 2022 in connection with the disturbances.
And the National Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, Edward Carré, has refuted claims by the Agric Minister that the Planting for Food and Jobs program has been successful. According to him, the program has neither created jobs nor provided abundance of food for Ghanaians.
The government of Ghana in 2017 introduced the Planting for Food and Jobs policy to revamp the agricultural sector. The Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Owusu Akoto, on his 2022 regional tour of the country, said the Planting for Food and Jobs program has been largely successful. The General Agricultural Workers Union, however, believe the policy has not helped farmers.
Is there food? Has the program created the jobs that we are talking about? And in all these two objectives, they are verifiable. In the sense that when there is food, you see it. When there is food, the price will come down. When there is job, you see the job. You measure a policy by its outcomes and not by its intention. You should show us where was the bumper harvest. Again, bumper harvest, you can't hide it.
President of the Union, Edward Karewe, added the cost of food prices are soaring as a result of the mismanagement of the sector.
And if we had even managed our economy well, our planning for food and jobs well, what would have happened is that it would have been able to moderate the effect of the global development on our economy. So when the food situation is going up like this, and you still tell us that, look, please don't worry about the prices, there's enough food everywhere. But who will give you the food service when you don't have money?
He called on government to invest in the sector to avert the impending food crisis the country is currently faced with.
We should also be increasing our production capacity by investing more. We know that government has taken a policy to generally cut down budgetary allocation to its ministries and other MDAs and so on, agencies. But that does not mean that we must cut down budgetary allocation to agriculture. Because agriculture is fundamental. So that is the dangerous part of it, that you are saying there's no problem. When there's a problem, it means we are not going to look for a solution for it.
Meanwhile, farmers across the country are calling on government to reduce the cost of input on the market, a situation they say is adversely affecting productivity in the sector.
And the Ghana Medical Association and Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association are unhappy with the reluctance among health workers to take the COVID-19 jabs. Figures from the association say about 40% of health professionals have not received the second dose of the vaccine. We're taking a break. We'll bring that story to you a bit later on, but we're taking a break. When we come back, we'll talk more on the economy with business, and Winston Taki will be joining in the studio. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Newsnight Live on Metro TV. My name is Winston Taki. And now to our first business story. President Akufo-Addo says the Russia-Ukraine conflict is severely affecting African economies. Despite a negative trend, the president believes stronger partnerships with the European Union can help chart a sustainable course for Africa's development.
The 15th edition of the European Development Days is focused on building sustainable partnerships. Delivering his address, President Akufo-Addo was concerned about the deadly effects of the Russian-Ukraine war on the economies of developing countries.
Prospects for us in the developing world, making up lost ground through inclusive and sustainable recovery efforts, have been further severely undermined in recent months by the consequences of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which are having a negative impact on commodity and fuel prices, stoking a food crisis, and provoking financial market volatility. Though the bombs might be dropping on cities half a world away, they're hitting our pockets not only in Ghana and in Africa, but also in much of the developing world.
He noted that Africa has only received only 5% of some $600 billion approved by the IMF to provide some relief.
At this moment, support for non-IMF program countries to alleviate the debt burden is limited. The initial facility, designed by the G20 countries to offer respite to economies with elevated debt challenges, the Debt Service Suspension Initiative, DSSI, has expired since December 2021 and has not been renewed. Beyond the DSSI, the G20 Common Framework promised a comprehensive solution to the debt issue. To date, the few countries that took on the associated risk by applying have yet to receive the much-needed relief.
President Akufo-Addo further called for sustained partnerships between the EU and Africa.
Now, member of Traders Advocacy Group Ghana has called on the National Insurance Commission to intensify insurance education, especially in the informal sector. President of the group, Kojo Amwatan, made a call during an engagement with the commission.
Advocacy Group Ghana has a strong database of over 7,000 members. Unfortunately, members struggle to come to terms with insuring their businesses. The engagement between the National Insurance Commission and Traders Advocacy Group Ghana was to cement the relationship between the two entities in order to raise insurance penetration among members of the group.
It is not that traders are difficult to deal with, no, because they don't know. And sometimes in our part of our world, those who do the insurance, when the unfortunate happen, for them to get their claim become something else. So now that we are educating them that you don't go straight to the insurance, but go through a broker. So if the unfortunate happen, at the comfort of your office that you are working at your shop, your home, the broker will take charge. The broker is like your lawyer when you get a case in court. When you go through a broker, things like claims, everything become easier. So we want to partner.
The Commissioner of Insurance, Dr. Justice Yao Ofori, mentioned that it has collaborated with the Ghana Revenue Authority to reduce the taxes they would have paid when importing their goods and services.
The GRA had a formula of calculating the tax on imported goods. And the formula, the rate that they use, was higher than what normally a marine policy would cost. So the advantage that insurance that traders or importers would have is that they'll be paying insurance premium which is lower than the rate that the GRA is using. And secondly, they'll be getting insurance protection. So they're paying low price for two things. They're paying their taxes, all right, which will be a reduced tax. And secondly, they'll be getting insurance protection for their goods imported into the country. And thirdly, they will be abiding by the law of the country. So we have a very strong MOU with GRA, and GRA is now accepting the insurances that the people have to actually do the calculation of the taxes that needs to be paid, which is lower than what they were previously paying.
By this engagement, the National Insurance Commission says it will help the Traders Advocacy Group Ghana to embark on education in the 16 regions on insurance.
The government has consistently reiterated its firm commitment not to resort to the International Monetary Fund for an economic bailout. Speaking in an interview with Metro Business, the president of the Policy Initiative for Economic Development, Daniel Enim, has predicted that all social intervention policies will be scrapped should the nation decide to bite the bullet.
If we should resort to IMF bailout or any of the IMF programs, I think the first thing that IMF will recommend is that free SHS should go. IMF will recommend that training allowances, teacher training allowances and nursing allowances should be suspended. And then the school feeding program that we have, almost all the social interventions that government is rolling out, for which in reality government is finding it difficult to support in terms of funding. IMF will recommend that an immediate suspension should be, strictly applied, so that government will have that fiscal space to be able to use that money for any other intervention. So because IMF will be monitoring this and their eyes will be on the government in terms of fiscal discipline and in terms of minimizing our fiscal gap. I expect that one will perform better as it stands now. So it has its pros and cons depending on how we look at it as a nation. And more importantly, because government has repeatedly stated that they will not resort to IMF bailout and their further things are not getting better, the kind of conditions that may apply should be good now or even be stiffer and stricter than if we had gone earlier. So these are some of the pros and cons that the managers of the economies have to weigh before they resort. But if the point is that the e-levy is not generated sufficiently, and then we may have no option than to resort to the IMF bailout in order to have our credibility in terms of credit credibility on the global market, and also to be able to stabilize the economy in a manner that will ensure that businesses and individuals are not sacrificed in terms of improving their welfare living standards.
Now, the cedi declined by 0.43% against the dollar and by 1.17% against the British pound on the forex market. Whilst on commodities, good prices went up and is trading at $133 on the world market. Up next, forex and commodities markets update. That'll be all for business here on Newsnight. My name is Winston Taki. We'll be back with sports with Phil John Quarte after this break. Stay tuned. My name is Phil John Quarte, and it's time for Sports Ghana's official travel tour for the 2022 World Cup Kempon Traveling Tour has announced a traveling package for football fans here in Accra. Carl Tufor speaks for travel and tour.
Basically, there are 8 packages. The 8 packages have been categorized into 4 segments: platinum, gold, silver, and bronze. Platinum, that's the highest. The breakdown is this: flight ticket, business class. This is platinum category A. Accommodation, single occupancy in a 4 or 5-star hotel. It includes feeding and 3 category 1 tickets for Ghana's group matches. Let me repeat: 3 category 1. Category 1 tickets is the highest you can get, very near to VVIP. Then it will include your COVID test, your travel insurance, medical care, internal transport, and a police report. Category A. Everything combined, $10,610 US. This is with feeding.
What Kempon Travel and Tours are doing for us is, if you don't have the cash immediately and you want to pay, let's say 50% now and 50% later, we've made our systems ready to also accept that. And so you can pay 50% today and decide that after 1 or 2 weeks, you come and pay the rest. No problem.
We have already put in place a dedicated service for 2,000 soccer fans to Qatar and back using our state-of-art aircraft. That's a Boeing 777-300. Ours is a promise of unforgettable travel experience during the season of World Football in November and December 2022. Good luck to Kempon, good luck to Ghanaian soccer team, and good luck to our distinguished fans.
Now let's focus on preparation for the Commonwealth Games to be staged in Birmingham. The national boxing team, known as the Black Bombers, are feverishly preparing for the Games. Nana Yovapoko of our sports desk visited them today at the training camp.
Okay, so here at the Buko Boxing Arena, it's where about 9 boxers are training ahead of the 2022 Commonwealth Games, which will be staged in Birmingham. We are here to find out their condition and preparation ahead of the tournament, which is aimed at fostering unity among Commonwealth nations.
We were given 9. The quota is 9, and so we are working out of it.
we started preparation since 21st March. Boxing Federation are doing very well to keep us in training. Maybe we'll move to camp if there need be. All the boxers here can represent Ghana, and they are putting up a very good performance.
Our preparation towards the upcoming Commonwealth Games is much better than the Olympics, the one we participated recently. So I think we'll be coming home with more medals. I have much faith in my brothers. As usual, things now hard. So we are urging the government to support us, like the way they supported us when we are going to participate at the upcoming Olympics game. We are always available, and we are willing to fight for our country. I mean, raise our Ghana fly high. So we need their support.
Well, that's your sports. My name is Phil John Kwati. Desi standing by for the latest in showbiz. Desi?
Hello, Phil. Up next, we talk entertainment news. My name is Desmond Okrekudans. Now in entertainment, David Obeng-Enin is the manager of one of the artists who took part in the concert about the National Cathedral. Let's listen to him as he speaks on the allegations that some artists took between $30,000 and $50,000 to participate in the concert.
Dana didn't perform at the mainland. Dana performed in Kumasi when they did the Ashanti Regional 1. We have category of appreciation for artists. When we say artists were paid, doesn't mean that the artists charged or they were appreciated. Because as far as I know, we didn't charge. But committing my memory, I think they appreciated us, but that one I can't discuss, and it was not anything that is close to any charge. No, that one we didn't charge. Diana Hamilton performed, but she didn't charge. But I quite remember, I think they gave something for what she did, because when we stayed for long because the program delayed. And so after everything, I think they gave us something for our fuel and whatever. So that is what I can say. But on authority, we didn't charge because there was no negotiation. There was no Ubeji saying. I don't think probably they gave it to one person. Or I don't know when the figure you are quoting, the expenses for the figure you are, or anything about the launch or whatever. And I don't know the number of artists that were engaged. I think we went to the secretary to the board, the church of the secretary to the board, Prophet Kusibwati.
Away from that, organizers of the Vodafone Ghana Music Awards Charterhouse has held a National Music Summit in Accra to discuss pertinent issues with the aim of building Ghana's music industry. Present at the summit were Deputy Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture Mark Okreku-Mante, music executives, artists, artist managers, the media and several other stakeholders. Some of them present at the summit spoke to Metro News.
For me, my take home is that the industry must begin to see or acknowledge that it cannot work in silos. They must work together. The musician needs the fashion person. The film person needs the music person. The music person needs film to shoot his music video and the fashion to look good for stage and all of that. Event people must do the event so that all these other people take advantage of. And so it's supposed to be a collaborative effort to be able to get the result for the arts industry.
The whole thing that I have learned about this summit is, we should learn and then, study and be collaborative, you understand? Because when we collaborate and understand and research about our music industry, especially the creative space, is going to be of help to some of us, I'm so much disappointed because I didn't see a lot of, our music arts here, even though there were a lot of, industry gatekeepers and, gatekeeper and the Mabete and Amekabi. But, I saw a lot of big people there. So.
And that's all for entertainment. My name is Desmond Okreku. That's the Bridget to stand by for the rest of the bulletin.
Thank you very much, Desmond. Before we take international news, Sonny Badu's Sonny Badu's management team have issued a statement in respect of the cathedral performance, and they say that it has come to their attention. Dr. Sonny Badu and his team, the international artist, has been named in an alleged National Cathedral issue for charging $50,000. He said the management wishes to debunk. During the contractual agreements, Dr. Sonny Badu and his team were informed that it was a charitable event to raise funds for the cathedral. Hence, the organizers will send him something to give to his team. Management agreed to perform on these terms based on the patriotic nature of the event. On the set dates of the event, Dr. Sonny Badu performed with his team, but we regret to mention that the organizers of the event disappeared and did not pay any amount as has been alleged. So the rest of it will definitely bring it to you, and in our subsequent bulletin. Right, and finally, before we go, Russia has warned Lithuania of serious consequences after it banned rail transfer of goods to the Russian territory of Kaliningrad. Russia will certainly respond to such hostile actions, senior security official Nikolai Patrushev said. Very much for joining us. My name is Bridget Otu. You can send us your comment, tweet, everything on all our social media platforms. Have a very good evening.